Okay, so this has been 24 hours, or 13 hours. Tap it, and break it all off. Chisel this. And I cleaned my edge. I kept coming out here last night cleaning this rim. Clean that off, and I fry this up. And there's my base. I want to do this quickly. You can see where the oil helped. It's condensating the heat. You want to do this quickly in the morning. Like, you don't want to let it dry too hard. This concrete has not sealed. It's not finished. So this is what I want to do with trimmings, because once it gets hard as a rock, I won't be able to do any of this stuff. My little pipe I put in here so I can run gas lines or air or whatever. Okay, so this is hard as a rock. This ain't moving. This ain't moving. Another thing you want to do is you want to score along the edges. I'll cut this way of your forms, or it'll break off a chunk when you go to hammer it off. I can continue to leave this in the form for a long time, like 4 days, 2 days, a week. That don't matter. But what I should do is let it sit here longer. I really shouldn't break this apart today. And I'm just trying to get to this concrete before it cures too much, because it'll chip and crack. And it'll be hard as a rock to work with. So this is what I'm doing. I'm doing all the little of this stuff first. Now all this is under the table. I'm not worried about this. I could sand this right now if I wanted to. But that's not what I'm going for. Get the corners real good. Get this down a good 1/8 of an inch into the form, where it will chip off when you go to open the form. There, and that's going to let this sit for the rest of the day. Cheers. It's gonna look. So as you can see, I banged it off, and it started to dry right away even more. Probably could have waited longer, but it's okay. You see the rounded corners here? That's from the silicone. Now let's go over to this side over here. Remember, I've already scored the top with a knife, so it doesn't crack off. What it'll do is just crack right off. And I built it in such a way where I could easily break it apart. And that's the important part. Building in a way where it won't fall apart under pressure. And then it's easy to open up. And then I'll grab this knife here and cut that. You can see how wet the concrete will be, because I only let it dry so far for a few hours. And it'll dry really quickly now that it's hit air. Just cut that. I didn't put too much time and effort into it to try to make it perfect. It didn't really matter to me, but it's still going to turn out really nice. You will see. You can see the two separations where I did the two different pours on that. Now you see it's already drying. It's getting blotchy in here. It's already starting to air dry. I'm going to leave that alone now. Another hour, and I'll bang off the other two sides. Okay, I've pushed on the sides. So like I said, I built it in a way it's easy to take apart. You just push on the sides. You see how it's pulling away? No damage to it. That's a key. See the nice rounded corners? You know, it didn't look like I did much there, but it made all the difference in the world. You could have cut like a 45 angle and put it inside the form as well. So I know these things look weird. This is going to sit inside this frame of the barbecue to anchor one corner, and then this here is just wood. I know I didn't put it in there straight. I didn't really care, because I'm going to just mount it and then cut it off with a saw later. So that's totally irrelevant. So I just did it to show how, you know, things don't need to be perfect, and they will turn out perfect if you know what you're doing. And I'm going to let it sit like this in the sun. The sun came out because it's been raining. And then maybe today I'll separate the two. Alright, and Bob's your uncle. So, this is why I put the wood in there, so I can build off of it. And then this here, I threw the other ones away, so that kind of sucked. I would have just inlaid 4 of those and spaced them out properly. Alright, I'm going to mount it, flip it over, and pop the top. It's going to look good. You can see how it's already starting to dry on the sides. To the fire pit. That's just temporary. Once I get it going, I'm going to clean it up with some nice woodworking. Then I cut the silicone here gently without cutting I'm lifting this up. You'll see we survived it. There you go. And as you see, we put some initials in here. It says CH plus Ida Keong with a heart. I kind of grooved it in. And we have a bowl, and now I got to pull this. Are you filming? And then I got to pull this fire bowl out. You see how it's nice and smooth? Check out the edges. So yeah, so basically the custom things I did was I put a little bit of blue chalk. You see the discoloration? I made a beveled edge with the silicone. Any type of scratch you're going to put on this table during the pour, you're going to see it. So that's why you can see the heart and everything. I did that more so as an example than what I wanted to keep it like. So then you vibrate it, and you can see how there's no bug bubbles. You're filming properly? No bug bubbles. If you look on the side, there's a couple. I'll sand all that out. I'll put a concrete sealer on. Now I got to pull the bowl. Hopefully it comes. I used a bit of oil on the bowl to help it. I used old motor oil. That helps. I beveled it. I used silicone. That also helps. So far it's only been about 20 hours of drying. You can let yours dry longer if you want. This bowl should pull out of here. Get myself maybe a little pry bar. Okay, stop filming. Okay, so basically what I do is I put that pipe in the center. I come underneath, I hit it from underneath, I get it going, and then I pry it up, and you can see where I put the oil, and this is the pipe I had in here, and you see that? The oil's still fresh, it stayed on the bowl, pops right out, nice little beveled edge from the silicone I made. I'll sand that up. If you take a further look, I got wheels underneath of it. I'm going to use the old burner from the barbecue. I have a gas-powered deck heater. And Bob's your uncle, right there. It's all formed up, it's hard, ready to go. Take a little bit of sandpaper, I'm going to use 180. Clean off all the rough edges. You can see the miter that created when I used the silicone. Now I'm just going to rub it all down. Then I'm going to wipe it, let it dry, and I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint it with a sealer concrete paint. A little bit of tint in it. It'll come out a little bluer. You can see the blue tinge I used. That was just for an example. I sanded off the writing I put on. That was just for the video. And then I'm going to build a burner today. You can look inside the hole here. And you can see that I embedded a piece of copper 1/2-inch pipe. Well, I bought 3/8 burner pipe I'm going to create. And then by the end of the day, there should be a functional barbecue / table fire pit. And Bob's your uncle. So, remember I got to build my own burner. So I decided to go this route. I have some pipe in the back, but it's 1/2-inch. And I inlaid a 1/2-inch tube. 1/2-inch, if I would have inlaid that and had it pre-cut, and my pipe cutters here, which I do not have here, have them in Alberta, I would use them. So I went and bought this for 26 bucks. I'm going to inlay this into the fire, have it come out the bottom, and I'm going to have it hooked up to this propane attachment I saved from my old barbecue. I'm going to create my own burner. I'm going to do that while I let my Bondo dyno patch set, and I'll build this and inlay this before I paint it and pull it out, paint it, and be ready to go. So, got it going. The idea is very simple. If I were to do this again, instead of buying this pipe, I would have inlaid pipe like this, pre-cut, in there that I got for free, not something I'd pay for. But I got that pipe after, and I didn't really want to do it. So I ran a 1/2 inch conduit. Next time I'd maybe even go 1/2 inch was good. 1/2 inch hole was good. I might even come off the side. As you can see, I had to make these corners. You need to line up your gas in a way that it flows. You can hear the air coming. You have to have this little filter wind block so the air goes through. You see I'm just adjusting it. It'll blow. Don't put too many holes in it. I went with small holes in the bottom and bigger holes up top. This is on high. Now I can adjust it. See, that's low. I didn't really go with any holes on the outside. I figured if it didn't light, it would just, you know, be gas escaping. So I kind of kept all the holes together. And that's enough. I can always add more. You can never take it away. I ended up mounting this on the side here. I'll then cut these off. I'm going to build a wooden frame around this barbecue so it looks good. And there you have it. Pretty quick and easy job. It took me a couple hours, I guess, the time at home. And that's a $400 barbecue. Cost me, I don't know, 70 bucks worth of parts and paint. And I barely scratched the surface of this paint. Like, this is concrete paint. You didn't have to paint it. Like, that was just me wanting to. So the amount of that's there was $30, $27. I didn't need to buy that. Pipe and everything, you know, I could have did that for free actually, but I like the copper look anyhow. And yeah, what kind of really started this off was the fact that I bought a new barbecue and I was like, hey, let's just use this hose and burners for something, and I wanted a fire pit. And then I saw the form ply at work that was being thrown out, that was used once already, so I'm like, hey, I'll use that. It was pre-cut to that flat side, and I grabbed another piece similar, and I just ripped the sides down. Didn't even have to cut it to length. It was I just used the dimensions that were already available. Save time and energy. The whole point was try to do this as easily as possible. And yeah, there you have it. See how I use that inlay piece of plywood, a piece of wood that I had. I didn't cut that either. I just threw that in. I didn't think it was necessary. Don't try to do it easy, and I'm gonna frame this out. And Bob's your uncle. Have a good day, folks, and why spend $400 or $500 on a fire pit when you got an old barbecue and a little bit of time on your hands? So I guess some people didn't know what it was. It's a patio heater. It's a gas patio heater. It's made out of concrete and an old barbecue. Some copper pipe for a burner. Some cedar for some trim. I guess people are unfamiliar with a patio heater. We don't really need it here. It's plus 27, but I figured I might as well build one. There we go. Got the old sunsetter. Roasting of the old marshmallows. I ate mine. So, my friend here, Kevin, he's my buddy. He's the guy that gave me this wood for free. He came by with some free lava rock. He grabbed it out of the ditch by his work. And then I bought the glass beads. Fire rated, 27 bucks. So total all price, about $27 for the copper tube, $27 for the glass beads. And I think I pretty much scored the rest. Oh yeah, I bought some soldering stuff, but that was only like $5 because I already had some stuff. So, thanks, Kevin.
Nice. Looks great.
Excellent.
I
Cheap barbecue or a fire pit, roast marshmallows, drinking beer. And Bob's your uncle.